Welcome to another episode of the Ambitious Legacy Podcast. I'm your host, Sabine, the Purpose Lawyer. Thank you for listening and thank you for helping me be on purpose. I'm so excited to be with you guys today because this is the last episode of 2021. Oh my God, it's been a year. I can't believe last year I did not have this podcast. This year we've have 20 something episodes in the bag already, and it's just been a wonderful, wonderful ride. I thank you so much for all of you who have been here with me, who have been listening, who have been writing. Normally I'm in the studio, but today I am again home for the holidays. I told you guys I'll be back with another episode so we could just talk and kind of um, talk about what's coming in the new year and what we've done so far this year, and all the good things we have to look forward to. So first, I wanted to start off with Sabine's Common Sense segment. So this week I wanted to talk about, there's been a lot of talks, I feel like, about legacy planning and estate planning and things like that in just media in general. So like everyone now is talking about legacy, which I like to think I had something to do with. I'll just put that out there. And not only just talking about legacy, but just talking about, just having a bigger vision for life in general and going forward, just moving with a plan, with intention. And I totally love that because, it's right up my alley. So two shows actually that I watched have been talking about this thing. So first off, we have Power, which is a show that was started by 50 Cent, which you guys probably know. Those of you who don't know, you could check it out. I think it's Power Book 2, which is the one with the son who was in Ghost. Is it Ghost? No. Power was is the name of the show. The spin-off is Power Book 2, which is the son who was in Power. He is going through like a whole bunch of he's sort of going through a whole lot of hurdles and loops, and just like everything in life is just coming at him. And one of the things that happened in Power is that when his father died, his father did a legacy plan. And in his father's plan, it said that he had to go to college and finish school, in order for him to gain his inheritance from his dad. And so in addition to that, his dad had, an estate planning lawyer, a man of color, who was handling the estate. And so when his son got arrested for a felony, the lawyer came to see him, and the lawyer was like, well, your dad left something that he told me to give to you in the event that you ever ended up in a situation where you, were charged with a felony or being charged with a felony. And so I'm watching and I'm like, oh my God, that's so good. He's going to tell, because his dad had some troubles with the law. So he's going to tell him, exactly what to do when he's in jail, or, how to get out of the situation. Man, that note said, I knew you was going to end up here, and this is exactly where you belong. I was like, now that is not what we're talking about when we say, let's do a legacy plan, okay? I mean, it is what it is. The truth about it is that it is yours. It is your legacy. And you can create whatever you want, and you could leave whatever you want in place. But truth be told, last time I got to talk to you guys, I was telling you about the fact how we are leaving a legacy regardless of what we think that we're doing, right? This is what happens when you're home. Your freaking dog starts barking in the background. Teeny, cut it out! Don't worry about that. So what happens is, so you're leaving a legacy regardless of what you want, whether you think you're intentional about it or you're not intentional about it, it's gonna happen, right? And so his father lived a life of crime. He was in the streets. He was in jail. He did drugs. He didn't do drugs. He sold drugs and committed a whole lot of crimes, right? And so that's what I mean by, I'm not saying that we all have, perfect lives or can lead perfect lives. Life will take you in different ways, in different directions, depending on where you are and depending on what is going on in your life. However, you do have a choice to sort of make things right before you're gone. and we don't know how long we have. So you really need to be intentional about treating each day like it's your last, treating each month, each quarter, whatever. What would life look like if I wasn't here right now? Not that we want to dwell on that. We don't want to manifest our end of days, but we do want to manifest a better life after we're gone. So, you know, I think it would have been a good opportunity for his father to be like, okay, knowing that he wasn't here, one, perhaps had some more open conversations with his son while he was alive to say, the life that I led was not one that I would now choose, knowing that I know now, and the reasons why he wouldn't want his son to sort of go down that same path. He tried in some ways, but not really in great detail. And I think one thing to do is to be honest about the life that you lead or the life that you led, and the things that you would have done to to change it, and how you have learned from that. So that's a good thing if you're thinking about how you can actually, leave and build your legacy. You can start to think about what are some lessons, some life lessons that I actually learned throughout the process of the mistakes that I have been making, and start journaling that, start writing those things down, because that is going to be a good place for people to start. I think giving context to the things that you've been through and how that affected your actions is so helpful. I wish that growing up that I had, those lessons, like, okay, life is the way that it is because we made these decisions, and we would have done things differently had we knew what we know now. That is extremely, extremely valuable. But I just thought that was so funny how he just sent that one liner, like, okay, yes, like, I knew it, I told you so. Like, I don't know if that's the way to go, but definitely I wanted to highlight that because it just shows, like, you can really design and make an impact and have some control and some influence even after you're gone, if you plan ahead, if the circumstances that you're leaving behind, and how you can actually make sure that you're helpful, after, how it's helpful and supportive to your family after you're gone. Leaving directions like, you need to graduate school, or college, or maybe you need to get financial literacy, or maybe I want you to start a business. I want you to, have some travel experience or some real work experience. All those type of things are good, and it doesn't have to be that. It could be, literally whatever you want to sort of like help your family learn and be able to manage the legacy that you're leaving behind, and just manage life in general. Like, life is it's a journey, and as I get older, I realize just how much of a journey it is. It is a marathon, my friends. You know what I mean? So it's always, always, always growing and building. So that's one show, Power, that was talking about legacy planning. I thought that was interesting, or highlighting that. And then the other one is Insecure. If you guys watch Insecure, you already know. So for those of you who don't, it's a show about, I guess a group of friends. They're all of color, and just their challenges and their ups and downs and woes in life, and just how life, takes you in different directions, and how you sort of handle that, and hopefully you grow and end up in a better place. Like, I didn't do it justice with that summary. If you haven't watched Insecure, watch Insecure, right? From beginning to end. It's, I think, 4 seasons. So anyways, so we get to a part in this season. I thought it was interesting that they saw that it was necessary to sort of highlight, because you can really tell that they're being intentional about having this legacy planning conversation, and it's like a thread throughout the entire season. And so one of the characters, Molly, her mom, her parents are older, and she's actually a lawyer, and she's talking to them about doing the legacy plan, and she's like, or estate planning, they called it. You guys really need to sit down with the lawyer and talk about your estate plan. And every episode is like sort of a follow up to that. Like, did you meet with the lawyer? And it shows how like her parents were like hesitant, and they were kind of scared to like go forward and do this, because it's like, a lot of times, especially when people are doing their planning when they get older, it's almost like, am I planning to die? Like, am I planning to, seal my fate at this point? And I loved how she was sort of trying to calm them and say, like, this is a natural part of life. This just, allows us to be safe when you're gone. It allows us to have direction of what you want, and allows us to know, what you have, so that we can be prepared to sort of take over and keep things going when you're no longer here. And so they have like this back and forth throughout the episodes. And then finally, she gets one of her friends involved who does estate planning and was able to sort of help them through the process. And they just show how it's light and it's fun and it's perfectly normal to do this. And in the end, the parents were like really happy and they were really relieved that they had gotten it done. And then unfortunately there was a turn of events. The mom got sick and the mom ended up passing away. And so I find that although this is not a thing to me, I don't look at it as planning for death. I look at it as planning for life, right? Because you're planning for the rest of your days, right, as the person who's planning, and you're to make sure that you're living the most fulfilled and most comfortable, most lucrative life that you can as the end of your days, if you plan correctly, right? But not only that, you're planning for the life of your loved ones, because your loved ones are going to be the ones who are here to sort of keep on and continue on your legacy and continue on to manage whoever's left behind and whatever's left behind. And so you're planning for their life. But ironically, people tend to have the biggest urge to do this when something is near, right? And so it doesn't mean that if you're thinking about estate planning, you're the end is near. That's not what I mean. But I have found that a lot of I guess children of older people, right? They'll come to me and they're like, "Oh my God, my parent passed away, or they're in the hospital, and they're non-responsive or whatever it is." And what's crazy is that we were thinking about doing estate planning. We were talking about it. We kept talking about it. We kept pushing and said we're gonna do it, and then something unfortunate happened. So if you ever feel like that strong urge, I think it's really important that you do take these steps. Speak to a lawyer if you're in New York and New Jersey and you want to speak to me or my firm. That would be great. We'd be happy to help you. But otherwise, wherever you are, whatever walk of life you are, please be intentional about doing that, especially if you have parents and people who are older in your life, or if you know somebody. Definitely have these conversations. So in the show Insecure, it kind of showed that thank God they put these measures in place because something unfortunate happened, and the planning was already done. But I thought it was really cool of them to sort of include that and include like the journey of like having the hard conversation and making sure that you follow through and make sure that it gets done, because it's tough. It's tough. So one of the things I wanted to talk about today was like, how do you have these hard conversations? Like the new year is coming in, we just got through the holidays. How can you have these conversations about planning and not make someone feel like, okay, we're planning to die or I'm planning to make sure that you're put in the ground or whatever it is. Sometimes that's how people look at it, especially when they're older. So one of the things you could do is sort of really set the scene, right? Like make it a fun and warm and uncomfortable type of thing. Don't make it a somber, like, oh, we got to sit down and talk about, like let's not give it that vibe. We can, go to a place that has a vibe that is lively, where you could talk about it, maybe someplace outdoors, or even if you do it in a home or whatever the case is. Set the tone so that it is something that is fun and lively and upbeat to sort of talk about. The other thing is to, look at it as planning for life. Communicate the fact that you're planning for life to make sure that you can have a comfortable end of days or a comfortable rest of your days, right? So what I mean by that is, with the proper planning and with the proper tools in place, you can make sure that in your elderly, in your older years, or in your retired years, or whatever it is, that you have the amount of income that you need to live comfortably, that you have the amount of resources, that if something were to happen to you, that there are, instructions and directions and tools in place to make sure that you're the most comfortable and happy that you could possibly be. But it does take some planning. It doesn't happen automatically as some of us may think, So that's what I mean by planning for life, and planning for the life of your loved ones once you're gone. The third thing is to communicate the fact that it is an empowering thing to take your future into your own hands. The same way that you do every day when you decide to wake up and either go to work or start your business or work on your business or, care for your family or live your best life or travel. Those are things that you get to decide for your life, whatever it is that you want. And so there's no reason why you would not continue to do that, even, after you have your mental capacity or even after you reach a certain age. You don't want to stop having that power. You are empowered to make the decisions for your life on how you want to live it and how you want your family to be situated after you're gone. So that's another that angle to come from, is the place of empowerment, that you're in control. And the same way that you don't want anybody to tell you how to live your life right now, it's the same way you're not going to want somebody to tell you how to live your life later on, right? The next thing that we could sort of look at is the fact that we want to prevent loss, right? We talk about generational wealth and we want the wealth to continue for generations as much as it possibly can. And with lack of planning, there's a lot that sort of falls through the cracks, right? If there are retirement accounts or bank accounts or investment accounts or things like that, or valuable, heirlooms or property that nobody knows of in your family, then nobody's going to get it, right? Because it is a proactive thing that needs to happen when somebody passes away, that you go and, try to find assets, that you round up the assets and make sure that they go to the next of kin or whomever it was intended to go to. It's a proactive thing. And if no one knows that these things exist, guess what's going to happen? It's going to get lost because there's no one there to go after it. So there's definitely that. We work all our lives. A lot of times we're striving for things. We're striving to acquire assets. We're striving to, acquire certain statuses in life. And there's no reason for us to just let that go and die and go to waste when we're no longer able to, fully appreciate them or fully take advantage of them. That is the generational part, right? We're trying to pass that on to the next generation, right? And so, again, of course, it takes a plan. So those are some things that you can do, or some points that you could use to sort of start that conversation about planning, to make sure that, you get it going. Because I get that question a lot. Well, how do we talk about it when they don't want to talk about it? When they don't want to do anything about it, I know some people are stubborn. It's not going to work for everybody. And unfortunately, we're going to still continue to see situations where properties get lost, where accounts get lost, where families are fighting over things because nobody sort of made the proper planning or put the proper tools in place. We're going to still see it. But if you can make a change in your family or someone that you could spread the knowledge or spread the information, then that is half the battle. At least we're making some progress, right? So we want, as a culture, to move forward. We have a lot of people becoming super wealthy at a young age. We have a lot of people becoming wealthy in the minority communities. And we want to make sure that we continue for generation as a people to progress. And in order to do that, you need to make sure that your generational wealth is being passed on to the next generation. And not just for one generation, but for multiple generations. So these need to become part of common conversations. It needs to be the fabric of our conversations. And yeah, so those are the two episodes that I thought were, those two shows that I thought was interesting. And I love how, like I said, these conversations are happening. And as we go into the new year, I definitely want to make sure that we are including these things and a lot of, sort of like breaking down the process of putting these plans together. So I have some amazing things coming for you guys in the new year. I have a legacy planning journal that's going to be dropping soon, to really break down into microscopic pieces how you can actually begin to start thinking about these things. And even if you're not ready to actually put an actual plan in place, such as sit down with a lawyer, you can start gathering information. You can start to think about the mark that you want to leave and things of that nature, and really get that going, so that when you are ready, you can just jump right into it. Because like I said, we have businesses, we have families, we have assets. We need to really make sure that they continue and not fail, right? So yeah, we want to make sure that these things are passed on and that they're not failing. So also coming in the new year, we have the Ambitious Legacy event, which is going to be a wonderful event where we talk about all things legacy from an emotional mindset, spiritual place. And it's just going to be, I can't even give you guys all the details, but it's going to be wonderful. It was supposed to be at the end of February, but we pushed it back because, Sister COVID is acting up again, and we want to make sure that we do not. We want to maximize the impact that we have. So we're moving into the end of April, but like really stay locked in for more of that information. And also, I decided I love this Ambitious Legacy movement so much that I decided that the name that my firm is going to be renamed this year as well. It's going to be the Ambitious Legacy Firm. Guys, I'm so invested in this, and I'm so invested in your future as well as mine and everyone that I am able to impact through this movement. So I'm super excited about that. Why? Because we're going to make this a lifestyle. We're not going to put a plan in place where we just put some documents together, we sit it on the shelf and we leave it there. No, we're going to be proactively updating our plans. We're going to be proactively thinking about, creating and manifesting the future that we want, the life that we want for ourselves, the life that we want, the impact that we want to make afterwards. This is going to be our lifestyle. We're going to be doing it. It's not going to be cute to be like, oh yeah, I did my plan, No, we're going to be about our business. We're going to be putting steps in place. We're going to be revising our plans as we go along. Like, this is something that we need to do annually. We need to take a look at where we're going. Just like at the end of the year, where you're just like, okay, what did I do this year? How did things go? What goals did I meet? And so now, how can I check and adjust to make sure that I am on the right track, and to make sure that maybe I changed my mind. Maybe there are some things and circumstances that changed, that I no longer want things to be the way that they were. So I'm changing to make sure that it continues to go in that right direction. So if you have put a plan in place already and you have not done these things, in terms of revisiting it and looking at it and making sure that things are the way that you want it to be, or that it still actually works for you, right? Because there are a lot of laws that change. There are things that change in the environment that might affect your plan. You may have had a big windfall this year. You may have, really scaled your business, or really gotten a new career where you're actually making quite a bit of money. And so for that reason, always want to make sure, like, does this plan that I put in place still work, right? Am I protected? Am I protected from a tax standpoint? Am I protected from a planning standpoint? We definitely want to do those things. And just want to live life richly, right? So we're going to be intentional about that in the new year. You're going to do it with me. I'm going to do it with you. And in addition to that, we're just going to be learning a lot more, right? So I have a whole lineup of wonderful guests who are going to talk about their journey and how they got to where they got to. And not only that, what their plans are for building their legacy, and how you can use those same tips and ideas to sort of help you in, crafting the life and legacy that you want to have and that you want to see. So that's it for this episode. I know it was short and sweet. Just wanted to touch base with you guys before the year was out, right? And I also wanted to make sure that we set the stage for what's coming in the new year. And I'm just so full, right? I feel so full for all the things that we've done this year in terms of launching this podcast and being consistent with that, because that's a thing. Not only that, just sort of like continuing to grow in this area, continuing to grow personally, professionally, continuing to build a relationship with you guys. I love that. And I'm getting more comfortable in front of the camera, in case you didn't notice. Okay, thank you for my flowers. But no, seriously, thank you guys so much from the bottom of my heart. Mwah. I can't wait to continue to grow with you in 2022. I'm so excited. I appreciate you, and bless you guys, bless your families. I pray that wonderful abundance and love and blessings comes to you in the new year. And it's already done, because you believe it. It's already manifested. And that's it. Happy New Year. God bless you. See you next time.